I think the environment has to be changed.
What we're saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll be people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be bigoted about pigeons. I'm fine with that.
I think MP Christopher's private members bill will be a step in the right
No, but that
direction.
addresses trafficking.
Yeah, but because quite a number of these cases become trafficked sooner or later. Because if you look at the Palermo Protocol, the definition.
But you're talking of a different thing now. Now you're talking about actually intervention. Trafficking is something that we'll
a bill is an intervention, because it gives you punitive and prosecutorial and all that can
directed
happen.
at trafficking. Right?
Directed at the person who seeks the services.
But how about having trained personnel to teach our young people, to teach them the coping skills and all that? Do we have these people?
We do not have enough.
That, say, to touch a little bit about trafficking, you have the pedophile, you also have the situational offenders. Situational offenders means someone, they may probably travel to one of the countries, one of the cities. They do not have the intention, he or she do not have the intention to exploit someone. But when placed in a situation with all of this temptation, that person decided not to walk away. That's what we mean by situational offender. So it's these people who are potential situational offender that we need to address, need to educate while they are young, which is what Brema talked about.
There's also another element of whether there are sufficient interventions right now. I think in terms of structured interventions from established systems, not so much, right? I mean, we've got the basic systems of your teachers and your school counselors, but more or less the kids kind of socialize themselves. Misinformation abounds on the interwebs, and they are sexually initiated way before the systems and the structures that be are able to put forth the narrative that the structure wants to put forth. So I suppose we tend to be misunderstanding and and underestimating the youth of today. I think things are moving way faster than we initially anticipated, and the system needs to stop being reactionary and a little bit more proactive in our approach.
But I mean, in real terms, I see great difficulty, especially in the internet era, to effectively monitor the sexual development of children in the country. I mean, how realistic is that?
No, yeah.
I mean, I've had situations where I've had exposure to deviant youth who have lied about their age to get into all kinds of social network platforms and start communicating with adults. When they get into adult conversations, they understand, a whole variety of sexual maneuvers. They know what fellatio is, they know what cunnilingus is, they know a whole lot of stuff. And they get educated very, very early because of the internet era. And some of them are as young as 9 or 10 years old, 11 years old, and they lie about their age so that they can become members of these social network
So it's
platforms.
intervention. This you're talking about is that it has a life of its own.
Correct.
Young people educating young people.
Yes.
How about the interventionists who are older people? Are you aware of this happening? Are you addressing this?
Yes.
This is addressing for the demand side.
But I think
the demand side, yes.
Yeah, the demand side. But
Sharing.
the thing is this: can we realistically start talking about monitoring the sexual development of our teenagers, our children? It's going to be difficult. I'm not saying it's going to be impossible.
Are we doing it?
We're not doing it at all.
But it's not about monitoring though, it's about education. There's a difference between monitoring and educating.
No. Is there an awareness in the first place? I'm sure there's an awareness, but what are we doing as a result of the awareness? I mean, right now,
are we one step behind?
Yeah.
We are. The parents
Every
are many
kid,
steps
yeah.
behind. I mean, I know he's using the word monitoring. I too have a slight problem with the word monitoring. I think the parents need to engage with the children on what they are really reading on the net. And
it's not that easy.
Yeah, it's not that easy, and we have to ask ourselves why. Why is it not that easy? And parents will cite, oh, my work and this and that, all fair. But there's also another part of it, the whole relegation of that job of parenting, which Children's Society and many others have talked about more diplomatically and nicely, relegating it to grandparents who are like, what is this going on in the internet?
It's not even
Some
that.
of them,
Young kids
and
don't
to the
want to tell.
domestic and to the domestic
kids don't
workers.
want
I mean,
Yeah.
see now you grow up. I mean, at the older generation, my generation, for example, I think the rules were a lot clearer.
Yeah.
You know, don't lie, don't do this, don't do that, don't be
didn't
defiant to
have the
your
internet.
teachers. We didn't have the internet. So do we have the same kind of principles governing the youth today, where there are these proverbs which govern responsible internet use? There aren't. You know, kids are exposed to iPads and so on and so forth. They're bombarded with a whole lot of information from all kinds of websites, platforms, and so on and so forth, and they've got unlimited exposure. But so the question is, should these kind of controls be imposed at the family level, at the home level?
Okay, you have made it clear that intervention is very important, but it seems to me that the intervention is a bit dated. If you talk about the internet, what sort of intervention is happening with young kids who feed each other with information, who go into the internet? Is that being addressed?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it is being addressed, but I don't think we can get it as it has to become more intrusive and invasive, which nobody likes. I mean,
It may not work.
Yeah, my internet is already my world, and you are coming in too fast and too quickly. So I feel that the persons in the home really need, from very young, to put in what are the protocols around using the internet. There are children in our society who are using the internet very sanely. And there are others who just jump in, and the lyrics of the songs and all sometimes doesn't help also. They are like, wow, everything under the sun is in the lyrics of all these hate banging songs that I cannot really understand, but young people understand. So maybe these are some of the counter movements that have come. Some of the faith-based groups are trying. Are we winning it? I will say no, we are not winning it.
Let me ask this question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you've spoken about how we are addressing it, besides the religious organizations.
Yeah.
Is there a social organization made up of volunteers, for instance, okay, who are addressing this issue with children about responsible internet use? I don't know of any.
Why must
Okay,
it be,
can
why
I
must
just
it be
add-
volunteers?
Or
Isn't this
the
something
regular
important
stuff.
that it should be part of our education?
It should. But so I'm asking, whether is there a social organization, or is there an institutional component right now that actually covers the education of our youth in respect of responsible internet use? I don't know.
Okay, wait, can I just-
answers very quickly
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
okay.
I think there is a social organization that I know in Singapore, but it is an international organization that's working on Southeast Asia, and pornography, child pornography, all that kind of stuff is very strong coming out from Bangkok. In Singapore, I don't think it is that strong. But the second point is, why do we again need a social organization? I think the early years of a child are very, very important, and the parents and the school need to be in tandem. Yes, we need another organization to support, but I find that in Singapore very quickly we are ready to, okay, here's the ball, you catch now and it is yours, you know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Inculcating a value system through the education system, through home. But all these things have got huge holes, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, parents are parents. They've got, you know, their own pursuits in making ends meet, and it becomes even more intense when you talk about the low-income categories where, you know, the parents have got multiple jobs just to make ends meet. So it becomes an economic strata kind of problem. And, you know, it's in my experience, it's no surprise that a lot of this deviant sexual conduct, this kind of behavior where the girls are open to becoming prostitutes, always hovers around the lower strata.
What do you mean by deviant? Maybe deviant.
You know, deviant in the sense that deviant by our Singapore standards. Why I use the word deviant? Because Singapore has made it very, very clear that, you know, if you are under 18 and if anybody has sex with an under 18 person, he's going to have draconian punishment facing him, right? So if that is the age group, and below that we're looking at protecting, then we're looking at the home intervention. We're talking about inculcation of the right values. All I'm saying is that it is a difficult subject matter. Because it's
but nevertheless important. Can I just round off this discussion by summarizing what you have just said? Education is important, but you're talking of education in terms of intervention. Knowledge itself is not good enough. You have to intervene and actually teach them coping mechanisms, right?
Yes.
So it is not a matter of just one talk. Well, before that, even early detection is important when you find vulnerable youth and you detect them, identify them, and intervene. Okay. You have to. There has to be a continual nurturing and caring. You have to teach them how to cope and how to have the right responses, how to make the right judgment. But to do this, you need trained personnel, and I don't think we have that many trained personnel at the moment. And there's also an urgent need to institutionalize this. It is not a matter of parents are the main caregivers. They have to do it. Yes, they have to, but the school has a responsibility. And I think that beyond that, it should be institutionalized and not left to volunteer organizations to do it.
Sure.
If we want to do something to protect the vulnerability of our youth, then we have to institutionalize all these measures.
A comment on that the legislation that exists right now, I'm not talking about the intended legislation that Mr. De Souza wants to pass as a Private Members Act. The existing legislation, and I'm talking about the Penal Code, Children and Young Persons Act, and the Women's Charter, doesn't discriminate between nationalities. It covers every woman who's exploited from a trafficking perspective.
Okay, can we just tie this up, because we've got a lot more important areas to talk about. We'll be back to talk about if you have to have sex, what is responsible behavior.